Superman is a very interesting character. As the first superhero, we wouldn't have the whole pantheon of superheroes we have today, both DC and Marvel. He's been around for nearly 90 years and has had some of the biggest names in comics and Hollywood work on him in some way. But a lot of the time, I still hear people say that Superman as a character is boring. He's too powerful, he's too nice, he's too bland. Now a character like Batman, he's so cool, he's got trauma and edge to him, he's so layered and complex. And yeah, I like Batman a lot, but I wouldn't say a character being complex is what makes them interesting. There's a lot more to it than that. I think with the right story, a simplistic character like Superman can in fact be written very well. So for this video, I'm gonna look at 3 different versions of Superman on film. Christopher Reeve, Henry Cavill, and David Corenswet. Their takes on the character, the periods they were made in, and the comics that inspired them. Also, I'm gonna edit this a little differently than usual because Warner Brothers fucking sucks when it comes to copyright claims. They've done it almost every time I talk about DC, so if I just use a still image or something, you know why. Alright, on to the video. The 1970s were a dark time in American history. At the time, America felt very lost and unsure of itself. They'd just lost a war that they didn't think was worth fighting. They'd lost faith in their elected officials. 70s America was very cynical, and this could be seen in the movies that came out around the time. They were usually quite dark and gritty, with many not showing a lot of hope for the future. I'm not saying they're bad, I'm just saying you wouldn't call them a fun day out. But then, a movie came out that helped America out of its cynicism and helps remind them that there is good in the world and that it's worth fighting for. That movie was Star Wars. Oh, and then a year later, Superman the movie. This movie acts as a contrast to the cynicism of the 1970s, about a good man wanting to do good things with his inherent power. Superman is a callback to simple American values, looking out for one another, helping when you can, and standing up to bullies. Sure, it's a bit corny and a bit silly at times, but there's a real earnestness to it. It does take this character and what he stands for fairly seriously. It would have been easy to just make this incredibly powerful and kind-hearted person very cartoonish. And while it gets that way as the movies go on, I think Reeves adds a level of humanity to his performance that really makes you believe that someone as morally good as Superman could exist. And I think that's why people love this version so much. For many, this depiction of Superman is the gold standard. This is the one that all other depictions are trying to live up to. And it's easy to see why. Reeves' Superman is all about using power responsibly. Red from OSP said this in their Anti-Heroes Trope Talk video, but Superman better resembles Spider-Man's famous phrase, "With great power comes great responsibility." And this Superman shows that. As for inspiration, I don't think this movie really takes inspiration from any specific comic book storyline. It mainly takes inspiration from Golden Age Superman and the George Reeve TV show. And if anything, this movie had more of an influence on the comics rather than the other way around. Clark Kent went back to being a reporter after being a TV news anchor, and Lex Luthor would take inspiration from this movie, becoming less of a mad scientist, which he was for a while, and became more of a businessman. Honestly, they just wanted to capture the vibe of Superman. Christopher Reeves' Superman is arguably the most iconic version of the character. It helped take America out of its cynicism and gave them a hope for a better future. If you're enjoying the video so far, please give it a like and consider subscribing for further content. This is the one I've talked about a fair bit on my channel, so if you'd like a deeper dive into my feelings on this version, then please watch those videos. Cavill's Superman also came out at a time when America felt unsure of its identity. The nation was still feeling the effects of 9/11, the war in the Middle East was still going on and many people felt it wasn't worth it, and mass deportations during the Obama administration. But instead of trying to juxtapose the zeitgeist like what Reeves' Superman did, writers Snyder, Terrio, and Goya decided to lean into it. Here we have a Superman who isn't really sure of what he should do with his power, and who learns to have faith in humanity over the course of his movies. They also leaned more into the immigrant allegory with this one. Superman comes to Earth but never truly feels welcome. He feels the need to hide who he is out of fear of the government taking him away. And the American public are constantly questioning his place in their society, despite how much good he's doing in the world. This version of the character gets a lot of hate for being too sad, being too distant, and slightly uncaring. And yeah, it can be a bit difficult seeing this symbol of hope portrayed as unsure of his place and weighed down by responsibility, but that's kinda why I like it. It's interesting to see this character work his way up to be that symbol. His enemies are military leaders who commit mass atrocities under the guise of defending their way of life, billionaires who exploit a horrific tragedy in order to gain power, and a figure of law enforcement that's taking its authority a little too far. This version is still someone who wants to save as many people as possible, something that conflicts with his weariness of humanity, and he has to learn to make peace with himself and become that symbol that we all know and love. He makes the choice to break free of that nihilism that finds its way into our day-to-day lives and rises above it, to become better, to find hope. This Superman takes inspiration from comics such as Earth 1 by J. Michael Straczynski and Superman's Secret Origins by Jeff Johns. Modern takes on the origin story that portray the struggles of a young Clark Kent, faced with the feeling of being an outsider and feeling like they have to keep people at a distance. And no matter how much he hates this version, Mark Waid's stories such as Birthright and Kingdom Come also inspired this version of Superman. Stories where Superman struggles with what it means to be a symbol of hope in a more cynical world. Cavill's Superman may start off as a loner, but through learning to have faith in others, he does find his way to the light, and even finds himself among friends, willing to fight by his side. Okay, bear in mind that this video is coming out before Superman has hit theaters, so I'm mainly going on what we've seen in the trailers. David Corenswet's version of Superman seems to be an amalgamation of the previous two Supermen. He has the upbeat charisma and positive attitude of Reeves and the inner conflict of Cavill. If Cavill was quite introverted, then this one seems quite extroverted and very sure of himself and what he's doing, and that leads to drama. In the trailer, it's shown that Superman has intervened in a conflict in possibly the Middle East, something that he is persecuted for, even though he argues that he did the right thing, which seems kind of relevant given today's climate. Corenswet's Superman holds the very fundamental beliefs of the character, to help whenever you can, and seems to have an anger to him that makes him want to fight anyone who tries to stand in his way, and it'll be interesting to see how he tries to reconcile that compassion and anger when it comes to trying to save the world. Director James Gunn's main inspiration comes from All-Star Superman, which to many is the best modern Superman story. You can kind of see this in the costume, how it's a little looser fitting than other iterations. You even see it in certain aesthetic choices harkening back to the Silver Age of comics, like the monsters and the robot servants. James Gunn even said as such in a press event, but it also takes inspiration from Mark Waid's Kingdom Come. You can tell that in just the emblem alone. In Kingdom Come, Superman comes out of retirement to show the more violent and reckless generation of heroes how it's done. And it seems like we'll be getting a version of this story with a Superman interacting and potentially fighting heroes that seem more like corporate figures, with matching over-designed costumes, which is a very interesting commentary on the current state of the superhero genre, with them being more commercial than ever. And I know a lot of fans are upset with this version because they really wanted Henry Cavill back, and I get that. I also wish Cavill would come back. It really felt like his version had found his equilibrium by the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League, and could have been taken further. But honestly, the whole DCEU had become something of a poison chalice after all the studio interference, directors being unfairly treated, and overall no real sense of direction. So I don't blame James Gunn for wanting to start off with a clean slate. And from what I've seen in the trailers, it seems he has taken what works from previous versions and has worked it into his own thing. I'm honestly very excited to see this version of the character on the big screen when the movie hits theaters this month. We all have our version of Superman that we love, and with a character that's been around for nearly 90 years, you're gonna have various takes on the Big Blue Boy Scout, from fun and lighthearted to serious and self-reflective. But I would argue that all of them hold the same core of a man who just wants to do the right thing, and that's something that we can all be inspired by. Hey everyone, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give this video a like and consider subscribing for further content. What version of Superman do you enjoy? Are there any Superman comics that I didn't talk about? Please let me know. Feel free to follow me on Instagram at combabsmedia, and also check out this video about Star Wars from Visions of Hope, a big supporter of this channel. It's a very positive look on the Star Wars fandom that you'll enjoy. Anyway guys, thank you for watching. Have a good day.